We were supposed to have an earnings recession, but then Microsoft reported super results, Meta reported great results, and Google, Alphabet, reported good results. Visa indicates that travel is increasing and their earnings results were wonderful. Chipotle posted good results in a section of the economy that's supposed to be suffering. Where is the recession? Is it time for the bears to hibernate? I think it might be time for the rest of us to decide whether to run with the bulls or run from the bulls. Hang on. This is not financial nor professional advice. This video is for entertainment only. What is so impressive about Meta's earnings is that they had good earnings this quarter, even though they lost $4 billion on their metaverse section of their company. They're going more into artificial intelligence. By necessity, they've always been involved with artificial intelligence to some degree, but they're devoting more resources to that, as everyone is. You know, Microsoft, Apple, Google, NVIDIA, and Meta look to be the major beneficiaries of artificial intelligence.
So when you look at the stock price action in the after-hours trade, it's up about 9.5% right now. What is that in response to? Is it in response to the revenue beat, not just for the first quarter, which it was expected to show a revenue slowdown for the fourth straight quarter? Instead, you have the end of that revenue slowdown and a revenue beat in terms of the outlook. Or is it something more to do with the cost side, where it's been managing costs well and it continues to do so?
Yeah, I mean, if you're an investor, you can clearly see the core business generates over $10 billion in free cash flow every quarter. So $40 billion annually. Now, if you take the Reality Labs out of the equation, which is doing, obviously, you know, they had a big miss. Not well. The core business looks very solid. And that's why I think investors are happy that the company is showing cost discipline. It's showing up in their guidance as well. And I'm not surprised the stock is up because they continue to optimize when it comes to the cost side of the equation.
Do we have a sense of how long Mark Zuckerberg and Meta is willing to wait out the Reality Labs, the metaverse, the investments there? Because as you mentioned, that business is not doing well. And in fact, it expects the Reality Labs operating losses to increase and to go up year over year. At what point will investors get impatient with this and say, you know what, spin it off, carve it out?
I mean, look, they have laid off 25% of their workforce. They've really, doubled down when it comes to the cost-cutting initiatives in the core business. Once we run that course, then it will be like, what is the next level of growth? Because top-line growth, I don't think it's that easy in this environment, especially when you're losing engagement, which is the case with Meta Core Blue app. So top-line drivers are few, and if Metaverse is not that driver, then they have to figure out how do they accelerate the top line beyond these, cost cuts that they have already done.
Yeah.
I do want to go back. I mean, there's been so much talk. I mean, I thought your point that you were making about the lack of a cloud business relative to its peers here. When amid all the AI hype, there was a lot of talk here about kind of the stealth AI that was sort of underpinned a lot of the pivot that, in fact, that Zuckerberg made. In fact, a lot of jokes saying that, had he been really president, he would have renamed the company AI instead of Metaverse. Is that technology there? Is that spending? Was that already in the pipeline there to maybe play catch up with some of its competitors?
Yeah, so there is certainly an overlap. Look, a lot of what Meta does with Instagram and Core Blue app and WhatsApp, the foundational layer is AI. They are harnessing a lot of that data. They are training their own equivalent large language models, but we don't know how they'll be monetizing it. It's not in the form of cloud infrastructure, which is how Google and Microsoft are doing it. So we don't know what that next application will be, where they'll be able to monetize it beyond the ad pricing and, the ad business they already have, which is firing on all cylinders when it comes to the monetization they have right now.
And I always like to remind myself, as well as our viewers, this is still an ad company at its heart.
It absolutely.
I mean, with all the technology veneer around it, it's an advertising company.
And a loss-making VR business, where they lose money on every device they sell. Yes.
Some people say we're in a recession right now. you would never know it from some amazing facts. For instance, Visa reports that their international travel has increased. You would not think international travel was a vital necessity most of the time. You're not going to find recession in international travel, according to Visa. Their cross-border travel has increased 24% in the most recent quarter, and the volume on their card has increased 9% to $3.6 trillion. That's on one credit card, people. It doesn't look like a recession to me thus far, and I can see it in the people around me. People are spending. I go places and people are spending. And eating out has traditionally been one of the most affected things by a recession. And Chipotle reported outstanding results. So there's companies like Visa and Chipotle that are doing well, and Chipotle has maintained its pricing power, and that's the main thing you got to have to survive during a recession. One thing that has been affected severely is cars, and we know that cars and their prices tend to go down in a recession, so this could be a warning sign. But is it a warning sign of a recession, or is it due to the Federal Reserve raising interest rates? You know, both could be true, but I think we have a paper mess that was created by the Fed, that this isn't real, and that we're just trying to sweep up the money that they gave out during the last 2 years. And so I think the Federal Reserve has been very successful in lowering the price of Teslas.
There's a raging debate in the EV space about Tesla's prospects. Some see Elon Musk as a visionary for the auto industry, and others think he is steering Tesla into trouble. That's a subject of today's Big Take, NI Big Take. Go on the terminal for that. Let's bring in the author behind it, Bloomberg's car czar Craig Trudell, for the bull and bear case on the company. So Craig, you lay this all out really well in your piece. What are the fault lines here? What is the dividing line of people say, okay, I don't like what's happening with Tesla? Of course, a lot of headlines last week about cutting prices.
Yeah, I don't think, it's simple to sort of sum this up as, Musk doing this sort of on his own volition, right? You don't cut the price of your best-selling model by 29% in roughly 3 months from a position of strength, right? That being said, this is not a case of the sort of sky falling and Tesla falling apart. The Model Y might end up being the best-selling vehicle in the world this year. So it's a really complicated story. I think it is the case that Tesla's vehicles got really expensive in the midst of all of these supply chain issues, and these were, of course, industry-wide problems of everybody not being able to make as many cars as they would have liked and as they had demand for. I think what we've seen with Tesla is a whole lot of production capacity come online very quickly, right. And that coinciding with this normalization of the supply chain and leading to this really drastic change in price.
Craig, less than a minute here, but is this going to start a pricing war with competitors? Is that the net effect of this?
I think there will be some cases of say, electric pickups where, even if the Tesla Cybertruck does come on, arrive on time, it will probably be lower volume. Maybe we'll see less competition in, say, the F-150 Lightning. But even within Ford's own lineup, you've already seen the Mustang Mach-E, which competes more head-on with the Model Y. They've had to take pricing of that down. So I think it will be in some spots, we'll see a lot more activity and a lot more competition. In other spots where Tesla isn't playing, maybe less pressure.
So I view the current situation as mainly a paper fiasco and monetary fiasco created by the Fed. And I think this is sort of a unique situation. There's never been this much money poured into the U.S. economy in so short of a time. There's never been interest rates gone from 0 to 5% in a year. That is crazy. So we're left struggling to try to decide what reality is. I think the reality is that we have a strong economy, and proof of that is that they raised it to 5%. And a few regional banks broke, but that's been it so far. And they more or less have set it up so that the banks can't fail, at least in a major way. They're going to bail them out. They've got with their bank term funding program and their discount window, they got it set up so the banks aren't going to fail. The Fed has it set up to bail them out. So that's really not to worry, I don't think. So I think we're going to make it through this, but I think the safest thing to invest in are the big caps. And trying to decide which of these big caps is going to do the best, I think they're all going to do amazing eventually. It's just a question of when. I think the thing that makes the most sense to me is to invest in the triple Qs, the QQQ, which is an ETF of the 100 largest companies on the NASDAQ. And me being impatient, I'm going to do the triple Q. And I've done it both on the short side and the long side. And I'm thinking more, I'm unlikely to short right now. I just don't see the benefit in doing that. I think that's a high risk thing to do right now. I'm either going to jump in and jump out, depending on conditions, unless some black swan event comes out of the blue, which I don't expect. So I think things could possibly actually work out. This is a paper mess created by the Fed. It's being solved by the Fed gradually. And I think we're going to get better inflation numbers, which is the main thing. Thanks for listening and watching. Be sure to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already done that. And hit that little notification bell if you want to be notified. Thank you.